Hello, my name is Kyle. With me here today is Noah Shaber and Jared Rude. Today we're going to talk about gun control. Noah, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Noah Shaber. And I go from high school, and I'm excited to share some statistics about gun.
Noah, you're cutting out pretty bad there. Could you repeat that?
Oh, really?
Yeah, you just cut out super bad.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I'm 17. I live out in Oak River, and I'm excited to share some information and share some opinions about gun control or lack thereof.
All right. And Jared, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Jared. I own multiple guns. I'm 18. And I also have some views to share on gun control.
All right, so that makes you a legal gun owner.
Yeah, registered and everything. I did gun safety classes, and then I had to do a firearms safety test, and I also shot trap.
Oh, that's interesting. And to obtain your guns, they had to do a background check, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I saw a post and this guy was like, "Oh, I bought an AR-15 in 15 minutes," and so I thought I'd be able to get a gun in like 5, 10, 15 minutes, but it actually took like 2 weeks because I had to submit my my background check. I had to submit my my training course, and well, I mean, it might just also be faulty employment because it took them a long time to get back to me.
Yeah, that's.
And then purchasing the gun itself, even with all of that submitted, still took longer than 15 minutes because then they had to go on their computer and recheck all the information, and then do it like an ID check.
Sounds pretty thorough. So I've got a few questions here, and the first one I want to ask is, does gun control work?
It definitely did not work for Chicago.
Yeah, that is a very good point right there.
Also in France, in 2015, the source right now is thefederalist.com. There was 532 casualties in 2015 alone, and
is that
in a comparison, America only experienced 527 casualties from mass shootings over an 8-year period from 2009 to 2016. And France has some of the strictest gun laws as well.
That is a very good fact right there. And also considering that America has a substantial amount of people compared to France.
Yeah, for sure.
Jared, you said Chicago, right?
Yeah, Chicago has the highest murder rates, with most of their guns, of course, being unlicensed, unregistered guns. So even if like people obey the gun laws, it's not like they're just gonna go out and shoot someone because obviously, that's what unlicensed weapons are for.
Exactly.
And criminals use those. So
yeah. And
by putting on any more gun laws, you could potentially just increase that happening all over the place.
Yeah, and right off of JustFacts.com, 1982, Chicago passed a handgun ban that prohibited citizens from buying handguns, and except those who were actually registered with the state. And those registered had to re-register every 2 years, and then in 1994 every 1 year. And after this ban was passed, murder rates with handguns skyrocketed. Obviously, that did not work. It was struck down unconstitutional in 2010, and in 2011, Chicago Police Department just discontinued their statistics. So we don't really have a good view of what would happen, but it shows in Washington, D.C. when they prohibited handguns. Yeah, hold on. Yeah. in Washington, D.C. in 1976, they passed a law prohibiting handguns and requiring all household guns to be unloaded and disabled. Murder rates skyrocketed, and when struck down in 2008, murder rates dropped to the lowest since the 60s. Any comments on that?
Yeah, I think it just adds evidence to the idea that just because you take away legal guns doesn't mean that there's going to be less guns for criminals. And another big piece, I think, is that people think if we institute enough gun-free zones, then we'll be a safer country. But when you look at most of the mass shootings, almost all of them occur in areas that are labeled with gun-free, and understandably so. If your goal as a mass shooter is to kill as many people as possible, why wouldn't you do it in a gun-free zone? Like you're already breaking a law. So
yeah,
I don't know. That's something interesting that I've also seen from gun control activists. They say that we need more gun-free safe zones, and it's just been proven over and over again that those don't work.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, more to add on that. A lot of people's argument on why we need stricter gun control is because guns kill people, which is completely false. If I were to set a gun on the table and point at someone and say, I don't like them, do it for me, the gun isn't just going to pick itself up.
Yeah.
If I want to fire at a target, I can't put the pistol on the ground and have it do it for me.
Exactly.
At least not with this technology.
Yeah, guns are tools, It depends on the what their intentions are.
Yeah.
More people are killed by, obviously, drunk driving, of course, and obesity, abortion, and also frying pans, apparently, than guns.
Where's this? Where'd that statistic come from?
Multiple different sources that I don't have access to right now, but it's common sense that obesity kills more than guns.
Yes.
And also abortions.
Mm-hmm. In fact, there are 33,000 gun deaths per year in the United States. 11,000, so 1/3, are homicides. 21,000 are suicides, and 1,000 are accidental shootings, such as misfires. And that is quite interesting, because a lot of places who support gun control only point to the 33,000 number, which is total gun deaths. And criminologist Gary Kleck, he estimates that guns are used defensively 1.2 million times per year. And that for all of those, 1 in 6 people believe that someone would have died without their use of gun defense. And the rest, just someone could have died. And so 1 in 6, that would be 16%, and 16% of 1.2 million is 192,000, which is almost 6 times higher than all of the gun deaths in the U.S. per year.
Another fact is that if you increase gun control, you'll be keeping the same amount of guns that the criminals already have, and you'll be taking away law-abiding citizens' guns, so they won't be able to defend themselves.
Yes.
So it'll be guns versus law, and that's not going to end well, obviously, for the citizens.
Yeah.
Just to go back to what Jared said a few minutes ago about how frying pans kill more than guns. I found the source on that, and that's actually Greg Abbott. Says that according to the FBI, more people are killed per year by frying pans than guns. And it's coming out of PolitiFact.com. So that's just a little bit of source material for you.
Thank you, Noah.
And another thing that I would like to bring up is that a lot of people, when talking about gun control, they say that the Second Amendment shouldn't apply to ARs because they didn't have them back then. Or when the Constitution was written, we didn't have handguns back then. But, I mean, it's easy to pick and choose like that, but if you want to be consistent with that argument, I mean, there's plenty of other constitutional rights that if you were to apply that kind of logic to, would just destroy civilization. Like, what if you applied that logic to the First Amendment? So the only freedom of press was that of printed newspapers, you know?
Yes. Yeah, the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This isn't talking about what technology we have. It's a well-regulated militia. Which means if the people do not have or are not balancing the military, the state can turn tyrannical and, massacre their population. And we saw that in Nazi Germany, in Soviet Russia, in China, and even now in Venezuela. Any comments on that?
Also, more on that. The Founding Fathers couldn't have possibly believed that the technology would stay the same for many years to come.
Yeah,
they obviously knew that technology was going to increase, especially at the rate it was increasing in their time alone.
Exactly.
So by some people saying that it only relates to muskets and other guns of that type, is completely false. They'd have to actually know what the Founding Fathers were thinking at the time in order to support that argument.
Yeah. I think we can move on to my second question, which is gun control right?
See, gun control needs to be here. We need to have gun control just for background checks because we need to make it as hard as possible for criminals to get their hands on guns, but also we don't want to make it too much of an inconvenience for a regular law-abiding person. Yes. What it's at right now in Minnesota is perfect. I mean, obviously taking 2 weeks to buy a gun, it makes sense because obviously it's a powerful weapon, but if you're talking about like a 22 or something like that, everyone who's been through the gun safety program has seen it's just a 22 video.
Oh yeah.
Where they fire a 22 at something from point blank range, which, if you are close enough, in fact, to do that much damage with a 22, then, that will do some damage.
A bullet is a bullet.
So, yeah, obviously. And so, a lot of people, the AR-15 is considered a training weapon because it's such a low caliber and the recoil is hardly anything. I actually own one and I've used it before, and the recoil it feels almost like a 22. So when people say that AR-15s are so dangerous because they're so powerful, they're really not that powerful. It's just the rate of fire that makes it so menacing to people.
Yeah, it's not even that, fast. It's a semi-automatic rifle.
Yeah. Only as fast as the firing pin will go. I couldn't think of a better word.
The how fast the person can pull the trigger.
Well, even for an AR-15, they tend to jam. So if you were to pull the trigger as fast as you possibly could, you'd probably get maybe 3 bullets out, and then it might jam.
Yeah. And we hear.
But also, with shotguns, yes, definitely, 2 weeks seems like a reasonable opinion because obviously a shotgun, well, depending on obviously a lot less damage and be more of a survivable outcome if you were to get shot by it, but still extremely dangerous, definitely more so than 22. But for handguns, yes, it also makes sense because you can easily conceal those.
Yeah.
So I think the 2 week barrier we have right now is just fine.
Yeah, I think why they put that in place is because people who even have a clean background might be tempted, like say somebody stole from them or somebody harmed them or their family, they might be tempted to go buy a gun and commit a horrific crime. And I think a 2-week waiting period definitely gives them time to cool down and think about what they're doing.
Oh yeah, definitely. I have to take a cool down myself when I get angry, so I understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think just for me, I've never been hunting. I don't own a gun because I'm only 17, and I've never even seen a gun. So like, I don't have a lot of knowledge about a lot of the.
What was that, Noah?
Also, putting guns in the hands of civilians is also a good thing. Like, let's say something as horrific as another world war comes upon us and we need to use the draft system again, then we won't have to do nearly as much training and it would be so much more useful. Yeah. Obviously, the risk of that is hopefully really low.
Yeah, that's why Japan didn't invade us in World War II. That's because the general of their military said that invading would be suicide because there'd be a rifle behind every blade of grass. That's because everybody owned a gun at the time.
I did not know that, but that is very interesting.
Yeah, that's why they chose to attack. A very interesting fact. In 1982, Kennesaw, Georgia, passed a law requiring each household to keep at least one gun in the household. And residential burglary rate dropped 89% in Kennesaw compared to 10.4 in Georgia as a whole.
I was like just 5 seconds ago thinking of the state that passed that law, and you took it right out of my mouth.
Yeah, that was, yeah. And then Kennesaw's violent crime rate is still 85% lower than the rest of Georgia and the rest of the U.S.
Yeah, Kennesaw has a population of a little bit over 34,000 as well. So it's a pretty small town, but it's not small enough for numbers like 89% not to make a difference, you know?
Yeah, that is. I mean, that's bigger from my hometown.
I mean, also another thing about gun control is that if you're raised around guns, you know not to do anything stupid, unless, of course, it's an accident.
Yeah, especially...
Like, my entire life, we've lived... Because I can fire it in my backyard.
Yeah.
And so I've always been around guns, and it's just a normal thing, and some people are frightened by the sight of guns. And also, the fear of something, you might be afraid of it because you don't know about it.
Yeah.
So by having guns in front of more people as they're young will help them to make the right decision later in life.
Yeah. I remember my dad was a cop, and he taught my mom, my sister, and my brother how to use the pistol that was always locked in his safe. And he told them the code for the safe as well. So if he wasn't around, we could use it and defend ourselves if anything happened. Any more comments on if gun control is the right thing to do?
Not for me.
No?
Not for me, except for I agree with said here in that I feel like a baseline of gun control is needed, but I disagree with the people that say that, we just have to ban all guns and gun deaths will go away, you know?
Yeah, that's especially not true for Europe. All right. Question 3. Who benefits from gun control?
Pretty much no one. Obviously, of course, people who sell and manufacture guns.
Yeah, I'd say.
I guess, well, actually, not even for them because,
No.
you know, less people are buying guns, so.
I'd say it's
That would hinder their business.
politicians who push gun control, and criminals will definitely benefit.
Oh, yeah, because if they go and rob someone who doesn't have a gun, you know, I mean, yes, some people know how to defend themselves against guns, but that's a very few amount of people, so
Yeah.
you know, it's pretty much free money for the burglar.
Yeah. I think if that happened, murder rates would go up, burglary rates would go up, violent crimes would go up. It would just not be good.
Also, related to the frying pan argument, if someone wants to kill someone they don't have a gun, they're going to use something else.
Oh yeah, that's very true.
I actually have I have an anecdote about this. I have a coworker that federal manufacturing, so he makes bullets, and he said that in his 25 years with the company, the largest or the busiest time that it's ever been is right after Obama was elected, because everyone thought that their guns were going to be taken away. So I don't know. That's just a personal anecdote. I found that interesting. That when people push gun control more, just more guns are going to be bought because of fear that they're no longer going to have a constitutional right that protects their firearms.
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
Also, going back to my frying pan argument, that even further supports that, you know, some people are poorly ingenuitive with their methods. And so if they don't have a gun, they can use a frying pan. What are they going to do? Ban frying pans? Obviously not, because...
Yeah, you see what's happening in Europe. They're trying to ban knives now. You can't even get, like, plastic knives unless you're 18 or something like that.
And gangs are stealing the knife deposit boxes and using them against citizens.
Yeah. So that worked great for them, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, a dedicated person could kill somebody with the shoelace. What are they going to do?
Even completely naked and unarmed.
Yeah.
With nothing on them, just themselves.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Murder's already illegal.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that some, you know, even politicians are, like, very uneducated on how guns work.
Yeah. There was actually a video from CNN that was trying to, quote, demonstrate the power of an AR-15, and it showed a video of a person shooting a watermelon with a shotgun.
Yup, that
just shows you
that
there's a lot of people out there that have no idea what they're talking about when they're trying to argue against something.
Although that was actually NBC, not CNN. But yes, that's still pushing a narrative is what most people call it. There was a senator, Kevin De Leon, who decided to try to explain what a ghost gun was. He didn't do very well. He said it had a .30 caliber clip, which dispersed 30 bullets in half a second, and that would equal out to about 3,600 rounds per minute, which is insane. That's like faster than a minigun. He went on to say it a 30 magazine clip in half a second. So I don't understand why he didn't educate himself. On anything like that.
Also, I mean, it's a clip. I mean, if he was trying to say magazine, then that even further proves that he was less educated, because a clip cannot be as easily reused as a magazine can. With a magazine, you just shove the bullets in and you're good to go. But with a clip, you actually have to have a tool to reload it.
Yeah.
Which is why the clip went out of style.
Yeah.
And so a clip could not. It would be so difficult to fit 30 bullets in there, and you'd have to carry around like 17 different clips in order to, if you wanted to do any serious damage.
Yeah.
And since it's a ghost gun, it's probably made of something like plastic, because they're made at home, and the barrel would melt.
Yeah.
Shooting that fast.
Yeah, I think like even like any barrel would melt shooting that fast.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't think.
Can you go back to the source where you found the ghost gun?
Oh,
maybe I missed.
It's a video. It's a video on YouTube. You can look it up. You can just say, just type in Kevin De Leon, ghost gun. You can watch it for yourself. Also, with the NBC video, you should say type in NBC watermelon versus AR-15.
Oh yeah.
It's just a shotgun. Yeah, pushing that narrative is very common among people who want gun control, such as Jim Roberts. I think he's a congressman. Let me just check that real quick. Dang. Maybe he's not. I'm not exactly sure if he was even in politics.
Became illegal for some. I'd sell it because I have easy access to it, and I know how to make it. And I don't actually have to have a job because I can sell something access to.
Yeah.
So thinking like a criminal, if you have easy access to guns, or if you can sell ghost guns, you're gonna continue that even though it's illegal.
Yeah.
If they don't care, that's why they're doing it and making profit off it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think that wraps up our podcast. Any closing remarks, Noah? Did we lose Noah? Must have. Jared, any closing remarks?
Yeah, I always find it interesting when gun control activists say that everybody should have guns, but then when you ask them, like, if there's a mass shooting, who should come to stop it, and they say cops, and like, what are the cops gonna do to stop it? They're probably gonna bring guns and end it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
In Star Wars, they didn't blame the lightsaber when Anakin killed the younglings, did they? Of course not. It was Anakin who killed the younglings with the lightsaber.
Exactly.
That's a good analogy.
That is good. It's also funny how these can y'all hear me? All right, yeah. All right, so that closes it up. Thanks for listening. Smart.